In 2004, Ohio passed its own tort reform law, HB 292, that requires asbestos victims to have been diagnosed with a disease before filing a claim. Those who have merely been exposed to asbestos but have not developed any symptoms are barred from taking any legal action. They may file at a later date should symptoms develop, however. This is a particularly difficult issue. Statistically speaking, asbestos diseases are fairly rare, even among those who are exposed. Few will actually develop a respiratory illness. On the other hand, because of a lack of health insurance, many potential victims do not receive routine medical care and are not diagnosed until it is too late. In addition, many of these corporations seek to hide behind bankruptcy, despite the fact that most continue to operate quite profitably, meaning that compensation may not be there when it's needed. One legislator from Ohio, Dennis Kucinich, has proposed that Medicare be made available to all as of this writing. The Kucinich bill has gained approximately 72 co-sponsors in the U.S. House of Representatives. Such a law would eliminate at least one cause of asbestos litigation almost immediately. Ohio job sites. Most of the job sites in which asbestos was used and/or is known to have been a danger consist of the big three: power plants and utilities, Cardinal, Gallipolis, Marin City, and Reading, and oil refineries BP Amoco, Shell Oil, and Sunoco. The third of these is shipyards, of which there is one in Ohio, American Shipbuilding. Most industrial victims of asbestos diseases were employed in one of these industries at some point. 3 medical studies confirmed the danger to which these workers were exposed. Cabrera Santiago, electricians, pipe fitters, boilermakers, and other repair and maintenance personnel are among those industrial workers at greatest risk for contracting asbestos-related diseases, according to data gathered by the Center for Health Statistics. The Cabrera Santiago study, conducted in 2003, involved the examination of chest x-rays taken of a number of power plant workers in Puerto Rico. 13% of these x-rays showed some type of abnormality in the lungs. Kristev. This was a study carried out at the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda, Maryland, and followed 4,700 subjects who had been employed at the nearby U.S. Coast Guard shipbuilding and maintenance facility between 1950 and 1963. The researchers concluded that shipyard employees ran a significantly higher risk of developing asbestos disease. Sarahan. A UK study of 43,000 oil company employees showed that while those working in distribution appeared to be safe, those who actually worked at the refinery suffered from abnormally high rates of mesothelioma. Other asbestos sites. If there are heat, fire, or chemical dangers at a job site, it is almost certain that asbestos was or continues to be a problem. Steel mills are one case in point. Pourers and casters, operators, tenders, furnace operators and inspectors, machine setters, millwrights, and welders are all jobs in which some exposure to asbestos was involved. Those who work in building maintenance also face some risk from asbestos. At least 2 Ohio hospitals, as well as the University of Cincinnati, have asbestos issues. In these types of cases, the asbestos is usually found in the form of pipe or wall insulation, flooring, and mastic used to fix tiles in place, and acoustic ceiling tiles, as well as popcorn ceilings. Statistics. Ohio is the 7th most populous state in the U.S. Between 1980 and 2000, that population grew by approximately 6% to 11.3 million. During that time, there were 1,624 deaths due to asbestos disease, about 66% of which were from mesothelioma. Legal resources in Ohio. A search through the Ohio Federal District Court cases for asbestos-related personal injury product liability lawsuits brings up a list of 20 lawsuits from 2006 and 2007. A vast majority of these lawsuits are related to the Jones Act and involve AC Product Liability Trust as the defendant. Ohio is ranked 5th in the U.S. for mesothelioma cases. With a mesothelioma mortality rate of 14.7 per million, Ohio has a crude mortality rate of 12 in the country. In the Ohio court system, there are about 40,000 pending cases brought by Ohioans exposed to asbestos. A number of key asbestos cases that have taken place in Ohio have returned a pro-plaintiff verdict. These include Blandford v. Garlock Incorporated, filed in Cuyahoga City. The jury in that case returned a $6.4 million verdict in favor of the plaintiff. Another key case in Ohio, Thornton v. Abest Products, ruled that a medical criteria bill concerning the types of asbestos claims that may proceed to trial should not be applied retroactively to the claims of 11 asbestos plaintiffs. The court ruled that the plaintiffs' claims should proceed to trial under the law prior to the act. The Ohio Court of Common Pleas for Cuyahoga County found in January of 2005 that the act impaired the rights of the plaintiffs. While the original case was working its way through the courts in 2004, amended substitute House Bill 292 was enacted, prompting the defendants to move that the 11 lawsuits be taken off the trial list. The intention of House Bill 292 was to give priority to asbestos claimants who exhibit actual physical injury caused by asbestos. It classified plaintiffs into those asserting claims based on non-malignant conditions, those who are smokers and suffer from lung cancer, and those asserting a wrongful death claim. The Common Pleas Court noted in its ruling that the Ohio Constitution prohibits the passing of retroactive laws and protects existing rights from new legislative encroachments. Not all Ohio cases have been decided in favor of the plaintiffs, however. The Ohio Supreme Court has ruled that federal locomotive safety laws do not allow asbestos victims to make claims against train manufacturers in Ohio state courts. The decision affirmed a lower court's decision to bar about 2,000 former railway workers from adding train manufacturers to their separate lawsuits against nearly 60 companies that made, sold, or used asbestos. The workers alleged they were exposed to the asbestos while working in or maintaining rail cars. The decision was not, according to the court, a comment on the validity of the workers' claims. However, because of the Federal Locomotive Boiler Inspection Act, the claims were deemed irrelevant and futile because the act preempts state law tort claims against railroad manufacturers. They also said lower courts in Ohio have great discretion in deciding whether new defendants should be added to an existing lawsuit, and that a plaintiff challenging such a decision had to show that it was unreasonable, arbitrary, and unconscionable. A justice who disagreed with the ruling said that since the claims dealt with products no longer in use, rather than current railroad equipment, they were not in danger of intruding into federal domain. Those interested in filing lawsuits should know that the statute of limitations for personal injury law in Ohio is 2 years, with a discovery rule that states that this amount of time begins when the problem, in this case the mesothelioma, either was discovered or should have been discovered. Wrongful death cases fall under the same statute of limitations and discovery rule. Ohio has no specific statutes about asbestos. Thank you for watching. This video was produced by Asbestos.Net, a leading resource on all aspects of asbestos and mesothelioma. Our priority is to inform victims about the devastating effects of asbestos exposure, mesothelioma, asbestos cancer, asbestosis, and other asbestos-related diseases, and to advise them with a wealth of information. Individuals whose lives have been touched by mesothelioma have numerous questions and concerns. Their caregivers and family members also need accurate, reliable information. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with mesothelioma or asbestos cancer and need more information, we invite you to visit and explore the thousands of pages of oncologist-reviewed material on Asbestos.Net, to call our convenient toll-free number shown below and speak with a mesothelioma specialist, or to use the simple contact form found at Asbestos.Net to request a free copy of our informative books, custom inserts, and DVD. Asbestos.Net, information and help for patients and families.